Hello everyone. In today's video, we'll have a podcast format, and today I have a special guest, Uros. Uros is the CEO and founder of Flow Ninja. Flow Ninja is enterprise Webflow partner, and today we'll discuss enterprise SEO from both development perspective and marketing perspective, and what companies should be aware of when it comes to enterprise SEO. My first topic for this video is, of course, defining what enterprise SEO actually is and what that word enterprise actually is used for in terms of business and SEO. In terms of business, like enterprise is often referred to large organization that has really big resources to dominate specific market. And approximately we talk about 1,000+ employees and 50 million plus in annual revenue in dollars. And from the SEO perspective, we don't have such strict definition. We have more flexible definition where approximately every website with 1,000+ pages can be considered as enterprise website. And when it comes to SEO, when you manage large website with 1,000+ pages, that's referred to enterprise SEO. My first question from the development perspective is, your company is referred to as a Webflow enterprise partner. So what does that mean for your specific business?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. So I would say like enterprise can be referred more of kind of which features of Webflow you use in the end. Because like I know you mentioned numbers in terms of enterprises, but like an enterprise is maybe a much smaller business in Europe, whereas in the US, and those numbers can vary from time to time. So like it never actually means that if a company has 1,000 employees, like they're considered an enterprise or not. But in the end, I would say it's mostly considered about kind of which feature set they use from Webflow. So
Okay.
probably the first part is like, are they reaching the Webflow limits? So maybe they want to use more than 10,000 CMS items. We have clients which use like currently 70,000 CMS pages
Wow.
generated automatically with their API in Webflow. So you can go really in depth, and like that's considered an enterprise use case. Then on the other side, you might kind of hit some additional rate limits. You might need multiple websites, kind of reverse proxy into a single website. So for another one of the clients, we have 8 different websites with reverse proxy combining into a single experience, just because they have like thousands and thousands of static pages, and kind of we just need to kind of have an easy way to manage all of that. So in that case, I would say like enterprise websites is more kind of the feature set they want to use from Webflow. Does it require a Webflow enterprise package? And in the end, the scale of the kind of SEO initiatives they're going to be doing, because enterprise scale SEO is like much bigger, and it requires sometimes also connecting to their backend, like to their APIs on the backend, just to figure out how are they going to showcase some of the data they have in the application and make it SEO friendly and showcase just the part of the data that's not going to be changing constantly kind of for the SEO side, in order to rank and then get users to the platform to actually use the feature itself.
Yeah, thanks a lot for that definition. And as I said, word enterprise means different things both for SEO, for Webflow development, and for like business perspective. So thanks for bringing that together. Based on our experience, the first thing when it comes to enterprise SEO is client relationship. What we saw is that enterprise clients are totally different compared to mid-market or smaller businesses. Communication tend to be much more complex. Then the sales cycle itself is really longer, and all of that brings a lot complexity. And from like agency standpoint, you really need to be an expert in both business development and that specific like area of your business, in our case SEO, to kind of mix that everything together and just show why that specific company should go with you, with your company, and kind of work together. So based on your rich experience, what specific things would you say that are the most crucial when it comes to relationship with enterprise clients? How do you approach them? What's that communication relationship looks like?
Yeah, so I would say probably the scariest thing is about like SEO actually drives them revenue. Some of the companies that we work with are public companies. So if you make a mistake, they get less revenue. Like on the public side, you're going to see that you made a mistake. So it's not like if you're building a smaller website and like they're not so dependent on SEO, like, or it's not on that large scale, kind of you're not gonna feel like a mistake on a smaller website. Versus like when you have an enterprise website, and kind of making a mistake can be pretty costly. I mean, for you, costly for the client, and like maybe in the end, like if they're a public company, like it can reflect directly on their stock market. So like we've done some campaigns where clients got like an SEO spike, and kind of got like kind of like more equity down the road kind of on their stock. So like you can see the results down the line, but that also makes it like a lot slower to actually pull up any SEO campaigns, because like whereas on a like smaller website you might get an idea on Friday and like spin it up on Monday, and you're gonna be, this is crazy, this works. Like on the enterprise side, you're gonna need to get legal approval, you're gonna need to get all of the managers who kind of buy in, just to make sure that everybody actually wants to go in that direction, and maybe is kind of ready to take some of those risks. Depending of course on the relationship. Some enterprises have real kind of like have their own SEO people in house, and then we work together with them to go ahead and push their ideas, like so they can have a little bit more say. But if you're the one pushing the ideas, like it's gonna be like a lot slower process than like for all the other companies. But in the end, you're also gonna get much bigger benefits, because you can do it on a much larger scale, because they have bigger budgets, the website can become bigger, and like you're gonna have like more content to work on in the end, I guess.
That brings me to one thing that you mentioned, which is key stakeholders and key managers within that enterprise company you talk with. They really don't care about specifics of the campaign. They don't care about specific technical SEO things or technical like development side. What they care the most is that you show the causal link between like your work and like your recommendations and outcomes, which is in most cases like revenue. Because when you speak with enterprise SEO companies, and when you have that relationship, all they care about is increasing market share, which is translated in increased revenue. So that's what they all care about. So from our experience, the best thing that you can do is to just pull the presentation where you show that what's your plan for maybe like next period, next 12 months, and how that will translate it into like specific goals, specific KPIs. If we work with like e-commerce clients, it's like more specific in terms of revenue. So let's say our goal is to increase the revenue by 30% in the next like 12 months. Or if it's that lead generation website company, we want to increase the number of leads. So that's really how you should communicate with those executives, because executive presence is the science itself. So you really need to know what you're talking about. You really need to show the expertise and the trust. And as Uros said, like later you will have those in-house managers that you will communicate with, that you will actually translate that into action. But from our experience, what we do always is that we connect what we do with specific outcomes, so that companies can justify every investment and every dollar into our campaign. So that's it regarding like the communication part. Now we have the next part as prioritize. The word priority, based on our experience, is like one of the most used terms. And why is that? Because, and Uros will continue in that way, like you have enterprise organization and you have gazillion of things to manage. It's like complex system, thousands plus pages, 1,000 plus people, like everything is so complex, but you have specific goal. And based on that, what we do the best is like we can prioritize specific actions that will lead to specific results. Because let's say if you have 100 things to implement on the website, not all of those 100 have the same impact. So we prioritize those that tend to have the highest impact on the specific goal. So that's why we can show real results in a real time frame. That's like from the SEO perspective, but I think like from development perspective, it's kind of different, because the project goals and the outcomes is like different, because you build platform, website, or whatever. So tell me, based on your experience, like how do you prioritize all of those different people, resources, both on your end, company's end, communication, and everything based on that?
You don't. I'm just kidding. I mean, like, depending on the clients. I mean, like, we have our own kind of client relationship platform in house that we build, kind of that kind of does the client management. But in general, like some projects you're gonna start off, then they're gonna be stopped by legal. Some other projects you're gonna be able to kind of come to the end. I mean, of course, you're gonna have like the priority impact. I mean, like some of the companies even have kind of tags. So if it's just an engineering kind of optimization, maybe you want to do just technical SEO. So they're gonna be okay. This is engineering investment. Let's put this on the side versus kind of like revenue driven kind of outcome. Then like it's gonna be a little bit easier to go ahead and push for that. So like depending on the use case, whether it's just kind of technical or is it actually revenue kind of generating, kind of we can see that. And usually we like to prioritize maybe even like newer campaigns just so we get like more and more people in the door, so that we test more and more things kind of on that front. And then like when we see a spike, then we go ahead and kind of nurture that. So for one client, we actually, even though they're an enterprise, we pushed, like I said, like 70,000 pages. And that was like a real mess. It was not working as expected and whatever, but they were fine with that because they saw a huge spike from Google Jobs. That's like available in the US. So just because of that, we were able to see that a lot of people are coming but not converting. So like we saw, this is the only thing we want to do. We don't want to do anything else. This is definitely our main kind of revenue driver. So right now, like we spend maybe even 4 months after that just optimizing that and just making sure how can we leverage that Google Jobs API kind of to the best way possible.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that together. You mentioned a really important thing, which is like building 70,000 new pages at once, which can be referred to the word scalability. And when you do like enterprise project, you have to have that scale moment. You have to build things at scale. You have to implement things at scale. You have to A/B test things at scale. And you mentioned like specifics of like one certain project. So my next question would be, is Webflow good for those large scale projects when you implement scripts, APIs, schema markup implementation on scale of like thousands plus pages? So can you give us like more insights into like a specific Webflow platform and how other companies can use Webflow as a platform to actually achieve that, like to connect with different scripts, with different APIs, proxies, and to kind of build everything together?
Yeah, of course. I mean, like technically, one downfall of Webflow is that it's centralized. So whatever you do, you're gonna need to pay Webflow hosting, and kind of you're gonna need to stay on the Webflow platform. In my opinion, that's a benefit, just because like you're gonna scale, you're gonna have a direct support from the Webflow team, kind of when you do scale. So you're gonna have less things to worry about. But on the other side, it's gonna come like when after you reach 10,000 CMS items, it's probably gonna come with a cost. Like we are gonna need to pay for kind of enterprise kind of hosting, which can become pretty pricey. Like when you look at it that way, maybe if you're coming from a small business and you're looking at the Webflow enterprise pricing, it might be expensive. But on the other side, when we talk to some of our clients, they were spending millions and millions on their marketing website, and then comparing like few millions to like maybe thousands and like on the Webflow enterprise, then it's become super cheap. So it just depends on the use case and like who is it for. So if we say that an actual enterprise uses it, in that case, it becomes cheap, and then like you're gonna be able to scale to really kind of incredible heights and have the flexibility you would have kind of in custom development. So like if you kind of develop everything from scratch, you're gonna able to have all of that same flexibility in Webflow, just like with the power of kind of the visual development tool, like the no-code tool, or however everybody wants to call it, so that you can kind of continue doing that way. But on the other side, you're also going to need to have a technical person. So for all these use cases, yes, we developed something in Webflow, but you need to have a software engineer on the back end to create an API you're going to connect to Webflow. Then you need to have a JS developer kind of on our side in the agency who's going to be able to find the best way possible to connect that API to the Webflow API in order to generate the pages in the best way possible, so that you can actually render them, that Google picks them up. So like there's a lot more moving pieces to do it, but I think it's like faster and better to do it on Webflow than on a custom kind of solution, because I wouldn't compare it to WordPress or to any of the other tools. I would maybe just kind of make a differentiation, Webflow versus doing something on Nuxt maybe or something like that. In that case, it's going to be faster and better, and like you're going to be able to make more changes.
Yeah, so technical people hear that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
If you can decide whether Webflow is a good for you for your custom solutions, like definitely consider everything that Uros said, because you have to be prepared for all of those scaling projects. You mentioned like result side of things, that especially when companies like public company, when every uplift in revenue, everything that you contribute can be like seen in public. So that kind of gives you more trust as a company if you accomplish something. But on the other hand, it's like huge responsibility, because you're responsible for results, whether those are bad, whether those are good. So like I was witnessing a case where company ranked for like one product category in the United States, and that actually translated into like more than $1 million in annual revenue. Everything that we did prior to that made sense, because that specific company and the stakeholders that we talked with like they saw actual number, they saw actual KPI that we were referencing. And after that, like our communication and our relationship is like totally different. Why? Because company have more trust in the SEO as a channel itself. Because like companies tend to forget that SEO is just a like instrument, just as like channel. Because search engines are places where people express demand. So you type keyword, you type something that you want to solve, a product that you want to buy. So you just express that demand within the search engines. And with the next changes, say with AI, maybe search engines will be replaced with something else. But what won't change is that expression of demand that companies can actually capture, and that will be translated into revenue and all those specific KPIs. So on that side, companies really should think of SEO as a large driver of not just revenue, but just like brand impact, like overall impact on your branding, on your marketing, and of course like on your bottom line, on the company's like revenue and that monetary level of results. And when we speak with clients, we like of course always refer to our case studies and what's possible, so that they feel that if you need to invest, for example, $10,000 and to get in return like $200,000, that makes sense. But what I found is that companies don't actually believe in that. So we are here as experts, both on technical side or marketing side, to convince those companies. But I don't like the word convince because you really need to build a relationship, and you really need to carefully use words, carefully express what's possible in order for that relationship to be like long-term successful relationship. So based on that, how do you handle to show the value of Webflow as a enterprise solution for the websites, for features, for everything? Because let's face it, companies needs to invest in something. Maybe it's like human resources, third-party vendors, technical investments. So how do you approach that when talking to new customers, prospects, and leads?
Yeah. So I mean, like the biggest thing is like I try to sell like SEO more as an authority piece, just because looking at it long term, like you're might gonna have like maybe some SEO techniques that are gonna work now and they're not gonna work in a few months or whatever. But in general, the things which is gonna the thing that which is gonna stay is like the authority and like all of the value they were able to provide to the users. So like in the end, yes, of course, like we're gonna go ahead and focus about like the revenue and like stuff they can kind of generate. But in the end, even if they don't generate anything, the thing that's left on our website is authority, and kind of whoever can go ahead and visit their website, they're gonna be able to learn like a lot more, and they're gonna be able to connect with their brand. And that's why like I don't like going more like on the AI SEO stuff, just because like you're gonna create something general that anybody would read anywhere. And like we do stuff like that on our own blog, where we try to produce as much value as possible kind of for the customers. Like for example, our SEO person interviews our team. So like if he's writing a piece about like specific Webflow kind of thing, he's gonna interview our team member. He's gonna give a specific kind of thought leadership on kind of what does he think about that, so that we can write a blog post which is not general, which actually gives our opinion and which helps us grow as a company in general. So that's never gonna kind of go away. So like no matter how much money you invest into the website, you produce content, you produce pages, you're producing something which is gonna showcase you as a better brand and like as a more authority. And then like the next step, which like of course needs to happen, like but if it doesn't happen, it's also not gonna be the great, not that kind of bad, is gonna be actually getting the SEO traffic and getting people through the door and kind of growing further. Because like I guess like every single company from my perspective needs to have kind of affiliate kind of work coming in, kind of organic work coming in, and kind of paid ads work coming in. So like until you have those three kind of going in together, maybe even like cold outreach, but like you need to have those four areas, and like you need to continuously invest in those four areas. So I feel like the more businesses grow, the more they should invest in every single one of those four channels. And like for like the traditional content, it might be like videos, like it might be SEO through YouTube, like through YouTube videos, but it's also going to be through your website. And like the more points you can kind of create, the better company you're creating in the end.
Yeah, so you see that Uros is the best type of SEO client that everyone can possibly imagine. And I think that the most important reason why is that is because Uros and his company actively invest in SEO and actually saw like the tangible results on everything that they did on that end. So they can like they don't need to convince anyone. Like they just prove themselves that it drives like new businesses, and it drives that overall impact that's not measurable like in specific numbers, but has that power of authority. So thanks for bringing that together. And I would like to conclude this like conversation with like one trending topic, and one thing that every company on the planet is facing right now, so yeah, like we cannot neglect it, is like artificial intelligence, and how that will impact the way how we live, how we work, and how we treat clients, what we do on a daily basis, etc. So as I previously mentioned, SEO may fail and may like disappear in a way we currently knows it. But as I mentioned earlier, like people will always express some kind of demand, some kind of problem, some kind of questions. Like that's the nature of humans. And in that way, like your company can optimize its property, maybe its website, maybe it will be something in the metaverse in 10 years to show to those people that are searching for specific solutions. So in that case, I think that we'll look at from the like conceptual standpoint, SEO will never end in that case. How do you see like AI revolution, and especially in your company, like in Webflow development, how that will impact the way we interact with the internet, with web properties, with websites, and also how we do our business and how we grow our companies?
Yeah. So I do think that I like to look at even content pieces like on the website more as like video series and stuff like that. And like the moment when we start having movies like that are created by AI, everybody's gonna know that they are being created by the AI. So like even if you produce content with AI, like whatever you do in the end is gonna become general. Like if you don't rewrite it and add your personal stories, it's gonna be pretty hard to create something which people are actually gonna read. So and like even the Google has this core that like they want to see kind of the authority. They want to see that people are spending time on your website, that they're browsing through the website and actually enjoying the time. Because if they kind of actually send somebody from Google to your website, they wanna make sure that that person is kind of happy and like that they're happy with the content they're producing. So I do feel like that AI can become a great tool to actually help you produce some content ideas, produce parts of the content, but you're gonna need to spice them up and kind of add your personal stories, because everybody relates to stories, and that's been something that I've kind of learned more and more as I'm learning more about storytelling. It's like people want to hear stories and like they want to relate to stories, and that's how they're gonna be deciding to buy the product. And like AI just doesn't have stories to tell yet. Hopefully, maybe sometimes it's gonna create Fred who has personal stories and kind of start having something like that. But in general, like you're going to need to hopefully kind of have more and more stories. Of course, like from the technical perspective, you need to adapt. Like one of the things we're seeing is like more and more people coming from Bing, like somebody searching about something for Webflow, then like AI recommends something and it's like, hey, read this article on like this blog. And like we started optimizing for Bing, like on top of Google, like some small tractions, but that might become kind of more and more kind of more and more of a thing that people do. So just try to keep up with AI. Like maybe if you're not going to be searching through Google, you're going to be searching through AI, but people are going to need to fact check that, because I don't think that we can ever live in a world where somebody's going to tell us what's true and what's not true. And like with AI, it's never going to say, hey, here is 3 different topics and you can come to the conclusion. It's going to say this is right or this is wrong, or like whatever kind of happened in the world recently. Like you can never actually understand what's actually true, because it's going to say what the founders of that AI kind of want to think of it that is true. So because it's never open source, like we saw with crypto, it's never going to be something that right. People manage. Like in the ideal scenario, like AI would be really kind of giving you the exact things, but like even if you ask it like who's Nikola Tesla, like depending on how you ask it, it's going to give you different answers. So right. I do think that kind of people are still gonna want to look for their own answers and come to their own conclusions in what they think is true. And just because of that, it's gonna make an impact. It's gonna make an impact in the processes. But in the end, the thing that's gonna stay is like stories and stories people tell, and like they just have to figure out how to adapt those stories to be ranked maybe on AI in the end.
That's brilliant. Thanks for sharing that. And like you pointed out that both from like Google and AI and content and user is in center, and we tend to optimize things for Google, for SEO, for results, but in the end, like you optimize for people, you optimize for to help more people, to spread like good stories around, and the results are just a natural consequence of that, not just like something that's not like intentionally built. In that story, I would like to conclude this video with just the clear conclusion that companies definitely must change their approach to SEO, the approach of their website content and everything that SEO requires for you to like be successful in that space. Focus more on users, and we have Google as an example because you see that Google's mission is to share to the whole world like information to help people find the right solutions. And we kind of we are like on a Google as a platform, so we need to be also optimized for people, not for Google itself. So Uros, thanks for your time. I really appreciate this conversation, and I hope that our audience can see how much value here we provided and can relate to those enterprise SEO stories and how that should be treated. So till the next time, see you in the next podcast. Bye.